not just writing the RFP, but Random Creative was submitting an RFP at the same time.
It sounds like a little conflict of interest there. In other words, the person putting out the request for proposal is the person that's going to bid on it.
That's correct.
All right, and plus he's on the cable commission that's going to make the decision of which contract to accept.
That's correct. So they said that they sent out the RFP to about 7, 8 organizations. So 2 organizations got the RFP in on time. So if those of us that know that in an RFP process, if you don't get your RFP in on time, you are eliminated.
Right, that's a very precise activity.
Yes.
By a certain date, your bid must be in. If it's not in by then,
you're eliminated.
You're gone. Right.
So therefore, the folks that the administration felt that didn't get their RFP in on time, they started the process over because those folks that they really wanted in the process did not get their RFP in on time.
But the thing we're looking at in all this, and if we look at what we're talking about with this change in government, the problem comes about with who's on that cable commission and who they're associated with. Which, you know, the cable commission is all appointees of the mayor. Is that correct?
That's correct.
The mayor appoints them, and then the common council approves it.
That's correct. But you know, I want to inject this into the process, because as we go forward to discuss weak mayor versus strong mayor systems,
which is the system that we're looking at changing.
Yes.
Okay. Which we'll talk about a little later.
Yeah,
but right
according
now
to the Racine Charter. But the thing that I want to make perfectly clear for everybody that's listening and everybody that's viewing is that Paul Ancona is the MIS director.
That's the person that's in charge of the whole cable committee. I mean, Car 25 and
yes,
and everything
in our
technology
that happens in the city.
Right. Okay.
But Paul Ancona does not have that type of authority to just arbitrarily start an RFP process.
That's not his job.
Okay. And there are, you know, and even if he wanted to start an RFP process, you know, he would have to query the administration, and the administration would have to have knowledge that this man is going out and setting RFPs.
It's like an alderman can't start an RFP process.
No.
That has to come from purchasing someplace in there,
exactly,
somewhere in the treasury,
exactly,
where it's going to
get
paid for.
And normally it is coming through administration, be it City Administrator Friedel, who's basically telling them what monies is in the budget to go forward and do something like that.
In other words, what money's there and what needs to be done.
Yes.
And so that comes from the city administrator, who's basically running the city right now.
Yes.
It's not the mayor right now.
Well, you know, I'm glad that you understand that. You know, and it's important that the people understand that.
Well, yeah, it's bureaucratically run. We have a bureaucrat running the bureaucats. It used to be an elected official running it, but now it's...
You know, I tell people you have a hierarchy, and it's a silo form of government that we have, and everything is up at the top. Even the offices at City Hall are situated as such that everything is up at top.
You talk about the mayor's being on the third floor?
Yeah, but he's on the second floor. But the mayor's office is situated. The city administrator is right down the hall, connected to the mayor's office. Right. The city attorney's office is connected. All of them are right there, you know, in conjunction with each other.
Yeah. Well.
And that's the
we've got to keep that power concentrated.
That's right, and that's the
don't want to spread out all through City Hall.
And that's that silo form of government in which we're operating in, but it's a form of government that lends to possible corruption and abuse.
Okay. Well, so at any rate, that's when we saw it in the Car 25 thing, that's where it really became evident. We could bring up other examples that it had occurred in other areas of city government, but that was.
But this one was so prevalent because when we started to go down the process, and we finally said in the budget process, in which I asked Paul Ancona, who started this RFP process, and he said, I did, which is a misrepresentation because he did not start that RFP process. There were people that were meeting with the mayor, and the mayor's ultimate goal was to restructure Car 25. He started out his restructuring program when he took about 3 or 4 cable commissioners off of that cable commission, probably about a year and a half, 2 years ago. That's when he started his process. And so the process is steadily went there, in which we could, from an automatic standpoint of view, some of us could see who was guiding the ship.
And it was time to look at a change.
That's correct.
All right, so we'll take a break here now, and we'll come back with in just a little bit, and we're going to talk about this weak mayor, strong mayor system. What is that all about? So we've been talking with Alderman Keith Fair. Keith, we call him. He's no longer an alderman now. He's a very strong activist. And we've been looking at some of the problems we have with our system of government, where a mayor can come in and maybe exert a little bit too much power, a little bit too much unrestrained power over how the government, what's going on in the government. We have a kind of a nickname for that. It's called the weak mayor versus a strong mayor system. Is that right?
Yes, and that's there are systems or forms of government that cities such as our size operate, but the larger cities, you know, they have taken these different forms of government that the cities are using, and they've basically went into a theoretical practicum examples as to strong mayor versus a weak mayor system.
Now, the way we're set up right now is the mayor chairs the city council. Anytime people are watching the city council on Car 25 or any other medium, they see the mayor chairing it. Now, once in a while he'll be absent, and when he's absent, the president of the council chairs it.
Correct.
And the mayor basically, when he runs that, anytime the person running a committee or a meeting like that has a certain amount of power. The Robert's Rules of Orders provides that the chairman cannot participate in the conversation, for instance.
That's correct.
Although I remember you objecting to, or it was you or Mike Shields, it might have been, I think it was you, that was objecting to the mayor having participated in the conversation, and says if you want to participate in the debate, you must step down. And let somebody else chair it. But as a chair, that's a pretty strong position, and the mayor's always gotten away with that. Well, I think one time I saw him step down.
Well, it's a pretty strong position when now you have microphones, and he's monitoring the microphones also. So the microphones can be shut off on you if you're objecting, you know, vehemently. They can be shut off, and you're talking to nobody. You know.
That's right. Well, another thing that where the mayor has extreme amount of power, and that is appointing people onto the various committees and commissions. He's got a little bit of restraint when it comes to the major committees, for instance, the Finance and Personnel and the Licensing and Welfare, where he must put some aldermen on there.
Correct.
And each alderman must sit on its 2 committees, I believe, right?
Each alderman must sit on one of the 3 major committees: Finance, Public Safety and License, and Public Works and Services.
So, all right, so each one of the aldermen must at least be put on one of them.
Yes.
But then when you get into all the other people that are there, it becomes friends and family. with the mayor when he's appointing people on like the cable commission.
And it goes deeper than that. You know, from those three major committees that you're talking about. You know, the Finance Committee and the Public Works. So all of the chair people, the mayor can appoint all of the chair people to spearhead those committees, the people of his choice that are on the council.
That's on the major committees. So in other words, QA Shakur chairs the Finance and Personnel. That decision was made by the mayor.
Yes.
That was not made by the committee.
Right.
The mayor decided that. And another interesting thing is these positions on these various committees are generally 2 or 3 year periods, right? Am I right on
not
that?
on the majors. On the majors, they go a year at a time.
They're a year, but on the like the cable commission.
Cable
and the
commission,
various,
they'll go
historic,
2, 3, 4 years.
2, 3, 4 years, and they alternate the positions so that some of them come up for appointment at one time, and the others. It's kind of like the United States Senate, you know, where every 2 years you elect 1/3 of the Senate, and the other 2/3 stays there.
Yes.
All right, and it kind of works that way in these committees. So if a mayor decides he wants to stack a committee, it takes him 3 years to do it, generally, on the smaller committees, like the Cable Commission, which is the one we're particularly interested in. So
generally. So, you know, let me just cut you off there. But now, if the mayor, in which he did to the Cable Commission approximately a year, 2 years ago, he took 3 people off that committee at one time. So he took the 3 people off and he replaced them with 3 people at the same time.
All right, now were all those 3 people though, did their what do I want to call it, their term expire at that time? He just took them off before the term expired. So he has that additional power.
That power.
All right. So and in a situation like that, if the mayor wants to have the Cable Commission act in a certain way, and I'm not talking about, I'm just using that as an example. This could be any one of the committees. Yes. He wants them to go with a certain project, something that he wants done. He has that power to make it happen, so to speak.
That's correct.
By getting his people on there that are obligated to him. And generally, these people, they're friends. I mean, it's not like, I mean, they want to please the mayor because he's a friend.
We're finding out friends, you know, supporters, contributors to his mayoral campaign. We've been doing a lot of research, and we're finding out there appears to be on its face a lot of conflict of interest.
All right, but that's the power that the strong mayor system has, and not only presiding over the council and kind of guiding that to how those arguments go, but also in making appointments to the committees, and even in the major committees, he can put aldermen in there that he wants them to go a particular way, correct. And so and aldermen that are kind of,
you know, a person like take for instance a person like Greg Helding has been on this public safety and licensing committee for a long periods of time. Might step off of there for a minute, but then whoever brings them back into that particular committee. So
if the mayor wants to make sure things go right over in that committee, he would take and put Greg Helding there.
Yes.
Because Greg Helding and the mayor are really tight.
Yes.
So it's like, but someone who tends to be a little bit of a rebel on the council, like you were, he might want to put you over someplace where you wouldn't cause so much trouble to him.
Well, he would put me in a position with surrounded by his majority votes.
Or he put you on with Greg Helding and Ray DeHaan, so that you're always voted out.
So I'm going to be watered down. So
okay.
So you know, we get the message.
So we got the idea how the strong mayor system works. Now the weak mayor system, and by the way, these are nicknames. These are concepts. You don't go looking in the codes like I did. I was looking for the weak mayor system. Strong. It's not in the codes. It's not in the Wisconsin statutes. But the weak mayor system takes a lot of that power away from him. For one thing, the council would work like you see when you watch it on Car 25. You see the committee of the whole work. You notice the mayor doesn't preside over the committee of the whole. The president of the council does.
Well, see, in Milwaukee, Alderman Willie Hines is the president of the city council. And Alderman Willie Hines runs the city council. And so he sits and he does the meetings.
As opposed to the mayor of the city does
Right.
not run the city council.
Right.
So that's,
and if you take in Racine County, if you take our county form of government, if you take Jim Ladwig does not orchestrate
no, he just
Racine
he does not preside over the county board of supervisors.
he don't.
No, that's the president of the board.
So therefore, it's those people that are elected by automatic district should be mandating, and as the legislative body, they should be taking care of those particular
Right.
appointments and things.
So that's one of the powers that you take away from the mayor, is to preside over the council. And he would sit over at the side, just like he does at the committee of the
Right.
whole, and he could ask permission to talk.
Ask permission to speak,
Yeah.
but he would still be the administrative body of the city.
Right. He's
And
still
so we're not taking away we're not proposing to take away the administration of the city. We're asking that the administration of the city have less power. Everybody wants power. If I have power, then I'll have friends that surround me that want power.
We just want him to have a little less power over the legislative branch.
Yes.
He's perfectly fine over in the executive branch. We don't mind him over there, but it's the excessive influence he has over the legislative.
Yeah, because
because
the way, and and a lot of people get bored by my explanations and my little rants about system of checks and balances and those different types of things. But our form of government that was established years ago by our founding fathers.
that was James Madison that expounded on that very heavily, of the importance of the separation of the powers again.
Yes.
Separate but equal.
Separate but equal, and a system of checks and balances. That means it's the administrative branch checks the legislative branch. The legislative branch checks the judicial branch,
Well, they
and
all
everything
check
is
each other.
checking
That's
everybody
right. Yeah.
out, so we can have a common balance in government.
Right.
When we start talking about things like abuse of power and start talking about corruption, then that leans to no system of checks and balances. Everything is just going one way by what one person dictates, and that's called a dictatorship. And so we've broached that, and we're on the teetering of that particular system coming into play in the city of Racine.
All right. Now, there's one other point I want to get to on this transfer of power, and that is in the committee appointments, because I think that's critical too. What the weak mayor system proposal, the concept is that the mayor no longer appoints people to the committees. That's done by the president of the council.
President of the council.
Now, it's very interesting. You say, well, the president of the council now has all this power. He's presiding over the council, plus he's making appointments. Except for this one thing: the president of the council changes every year.
Yes.
So he doesn't have the opportunity to get in there and make these wholesale changes. First of all, neither does the mayor. But over a 2 or 3 year period, the mayor can, if he's a little patient, he can have everybody stacked the way he wants it.
See,
But when you have a council president changing every year, this council president gets to put his friends in on that committee, but then he's gone,
Yeah,
and the next council president comes in, and he can't get rid of those.
But that's going to the stretch where that abuse of power would come in at that particular level. But I believe in my heart of hearts that if the council president was to make these particular appointments, then he would ask for advice or ask for his other colleagues on the council. Do you have any recommendations for these? I have these particular slots that I have to fill in these particular areas. Do you have any suggestions?
You bring up a very important concept there, because that's, who elects the council president? It's the alderman. That's
Yes.
right. As opposed to the way it works now, who elects the mayor? Well, it's the people. So the mayor doesn't have any particular concern about what the council members think.
That's correct.
He does not go and advise and consent with them, whereas the council president would, because he gets elected by them.
That's correct.
See, so I can see that.
So that would be much more accommodating. Kind of like a peer thing,
right?
You know, there is never been a time that this mayor has came to me or asked to meet with me and said, and let me add this, as a Afro-American council person, that has those mechanisms to go into the community and see who, from a diversity standpoint, could fit into some of those particular slots.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get enough diversity where everybody on these committees is a relative or a friend of the mayor's.
Yeah,
that's pretty narrow.
And that is a problem right now, because if you go down the list of these particular committees or commissions, you're going to see the same names on here. Give somebody else a chance. Don't stack them with the same names, 3 names on each committee, on a committee or commission. And then on the commissions that you want to sway your particular way, then you put your cronies and you put your friends, and we don't know and stuff, because your wife's maiden name is something else, and then down the line somebody's married to somebody, so we don't know who's a relative on these committees and who's not a relative.
That's right. All right, we're going to take a quick break here, and then we're going to come back with a real short segment on the mechanism to get this done. So we're a little short on getting into exactly the process of how we're going to bring about this change in the strong mayor, weak mayor system. I'll just give you a little clue, though. It's in the Wisconsin statutes, and if you want to find out how it works, you can go look at under home rule. And we will be discussing that on our next program. I'll have the alderman back on, and we'll get into that. But in the meantime, we want to.
Well, it's important and stuff that people in the community that have a sense of community that would come forward and come together to bring about change. Because, not being the alderman, George, I want to go to Bahrain and Ecuador. I think that would be a nice committee for Keith Fair to be on.
But in the meantime, we invite people to look at RacineEqualityProject.org. Also find you on Facebook.
Yes.
And you are the political director of that? All right, absolutely. So you're very active in that. If you've missed any part of the show, you want to see the whole thing, you can go to the website there. In the meantime, I'd invite all of you to get involved. Let's work together. We can bring about an improvement in the city, but it's going to take all of us working together to get this done. So again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again in the next issue of the George Meyers Show.